Hey, this is Sean with Drinking with Comics, and this is the new comic book day roundup. Well, my new comic book day roundup for November 22nd, 2023. First, the beer. So last week I mentioned walking into Binny's Beverage Depot in Chicago, South Side, and finding out they had just done their big or just received their big Christmas drop. This is one of the beers that I bought. This is the Goose Island Christmas IPA. So this is 7.5% alcohol and hoppy. It's not the hoppiest thing I've ever tasted, so it's not over the top or over the hop. Boo. But I've been drinking one of these a night. 7.5 with a lot of hops. Usually if I do two or three, I'm gonna have a headache. So it's good if you like IPAs. I feel like it's definitely like mid-level hops. And Goose Island, I love them. So very glad to be drinking this. Nice color, good taste. So let's get to this week's comics. Light pull for me, not a huge week. Void Rivals, number 6, Robert Kirkman. Fucking love this book. Lorenzo De Felici, Matthew Lopes, Russ Wooten. Okay, let's cut to the chase. We're getting like 2 to 3 pages of quintesson action and issue these last 2 issues or 3 issues. I fucking love it. It looks like they're going to tie the Great Ring and the 2 warring societies into the quintesson's history, which I'm very excited for. So yeah, I mean, it really just kind of moves the plot along. If you're reading it, I feel like you can kind of, I don't want to give spoilers. I think you'll know where this is kind of going as far as with the 2 main characters. But the quintesson stuff was cool, and I'm definitely getting a vibe. The original Transformers for Marvel Comics, I think it's 17 and 18, the Smelting Pool issue, and then the one after it. They introduced, this is when they cut away from the stuff on Earth and went to Cybertron, and really dealt with stuff that was not in the cartoons or the toys. And Blaster obviously was in the toys, but Lord Straxus, the Smelting Pool, those are like 2 of my favorite comics from that era. And I get a vibe like that from this book. So I'm hoping maybe we could go there if we're going like, we're tying this Kirkman's creations with the Great Ring and stuff into the quintessons. I don't know, it's very cool. It's still my most anticipated book every month. Moving along, Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino's Tenement. This is Bone Orchard Mythos, the current book, number 6. Very metaphysical. Lot of horrific shit. I mean, we get like the insect stuff, which is a trope that's now very embedded in modern horror. But there's like a splash here that I feel like it's a cross section of some larger multi-dimensional animal, and it's just done really well. It's horrific. It's nightmare fuel. And there's also some really visceral stuff in here. So this is definitely the most horrific of the Bone Orchard Mythos's books to date. And reading 6 just makes me want 7 right now. Last book I picked up this week, Immortal X-Men 17. Man, this feels like a misstep. I have faith in Kieran Gillen, but the Jean Grey shit and the White Hot Room with Hope and Exodus, Jean Grey, Apocalypse, but it's not really Apocalypse. It's a manifestation of somebody's psyche. I can't keep, there's narration here. I think it's Jean. I'm not sure. I didn't love this issue. This makes me afraid for where we're going with this Fall of X stuff. Again, I'm tempering that fear with the fact that I think Gillen will pull it off, but this just seemed abstract in a way that allows you to kind of fudge the edges of the mechanics of how they're going to get out of where they are. The Jean and White Hot Room stuff is intermittent with sequences that follow Xavier on Krakoa. And so there was a question after Sins of Sinister where Xavier, Emma, Exodus, and Hope all had been made aware that they had Sinister DNA. And so they were concerned that had not been properly excised. We find out in this issue, I don't really feel like this is a spoiler, that Chuck still has it, but it's not affecting him exactly. He spends all of his screen time this issue talking to this kind of apparition of Sinister. And I dug some of that. There's a cool scene where Sinister pulls the diamond off his forehead and Chuck then goes into the resultant hole and into his mind. That was pretty cool visually. All the art, the artist on this issue is Juan Jose Rip. He always turns it in. Like, it's always very good. This is a gorgeous issue, but I'm just not sure where this is going. They deal with Mother Superior, who I'm not totally sold on. And, the big question after Sins of Sinister, who ends up being the Dominion? If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. I mean, if you read House and Powers, I think you'll understand it, because Hickman breaks it down in a very scientific, almost in a graph, in like a data page. I don't completely understand it, but I know that it's some kind of like science god, I think is the term that Sinister uses in this. And we know it's not Sinister. All of his machinations in Sins of Sinister were so he could become the Dominion. And he gets outside of space and time and finds out somebody beat him to it, and it's one of his clones. I'm not really understanding Mother Superior as far as sometimes they refer to her as a Sinister clone, but it's his wife from the Victorian era. So I'm just not getting it. And I don't know if that's why I feel like it's a misstep and it's not, or if it actually is, but it is. This issue was so abstract, it kind of annoyed me. I'm still reading the next one, right? And we still have X-Men Red has been fucking awesome. So, new Marvel previews came out. I didn't really have time to look at much of this. I looked at the X-Men solicitations because obviously I'm curious. Resurrection of Magneto, which is done by Al Ewing, so I'm confident it will be good, unlike that Trial of Magneto shit from a couple years ago. But the description of this doesn't make me feel good. It kind of aligns with how I feel about Immortal 17. Wolverine, which I don't read, is doing the Sabretooth War. Good news, Cody Ziegler is doing another Spider-Punk book. I love that last one from a year ago. X-Men 31 looks cool. Nimrod's on the cover. So, and then real quick, so kind of a Kickstarter addendum. I am going to do one more book that came out this week, but I'm going to do it tomorrow with a co-host. So that'll be out on either Thanksgiving or Black Friday. I got some Kickstarter stuff that I backed. So this is Drumsticks of Doom. Fucking love this, man. Created in story by Dan Doherty and John Westhoff. So this is 4 issues. Deals with these drumsticks that summon demons. I haven't read it yet. I just got it, but super cool. 1 through 4. I backed this. I believe you can still get this on their site. I'll try to put in a link in the show notes. Very psyched about this. And to end this episode, so Pat O'Malley from Punch Publishing, he did Popscars. So I had him on the Horror Vision a couple months ago because Sumerian Comics republished Popscars 1 and 2 and then did the whole arc, right? It's 1 through 6. Really dig that book. He's got a new Kickstarter up. As of the time this is going up, this video, there's 10 days left. It's called Jurassic Parkour 4. And it's really, you'll hear it from him. It's a love letter to TMNT. To me, it looks like if you took TMNT but had the Triceratons as the main characters. So I'm going to cut to that right now, and that'll end this episode. But to all the viewers, have a happy Thanksgiving. Drink some good beer. You deserve it. Hi, this is Sean from Drinking with Comics. I'm here with Pat O'Malley. And Pat is the writer-creator of Popscars, which, if you follow my blog at SeanCBaker.com, you know I absolutely adore. And if you follow the Horror Vision, you know that Pat and I had a wonderful conversation about 6 months ago about Popscars and all the things that we love in horror and beyond. And Pat, you have a Kickstarter now for a brand new graphic novel, not related to Popscars. There's 10 days left. Tell us about this. We want people to back this. It looks awesome.
Thanks, Sean. So I have the Jurassic Parkour 4. It's a new graphic novel that's kind of a 90s Saturday cartoon throwback about 4 anthropomorphic crime-fighting dinosaurs that, they fail, basically. They let the girl die. They screw up big time, and they retire for 10 years. And this story is about them trying to find out if they could still save the day again, if they could still be heroes again after the epic fail, if they can still do parkour, and I think for me, that's a huge, the big tether for this, aside from being like kind of a love letter to TMNT, is that idea of like failing and trying again. And even when you feel like crap and it's not working, you try again. And so that to me is like the biggest relatable thing to these. Like it's a ridiculous story, and they're dinosaurs, but that's like the tether I have to like the heart of the story. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to make, kind of my version of the TMNT with my co-creator Andy Reynolds. We've been working on this for a long time. It was started off as kind of like a cartoon. Maybe 10 years ago, we saw this as a cartoon, and I learned how to animate, and we made a really bad 1-minute sizzle reel. But like I designed all the characters, like we did, but I drew them all. And we were pitching it around town, and it just never took off for some reason. People didn't get it. Maybe they did, and it just wasn't for them. So we lost our faith in it for a while, and we took years off. And then this is like I find that some projects are like demons, where they like haunt my sleep. And so this one like haunted me. It was just like, it's too good. Why isn't this not happening? You know what I mean? And when I did Popscars, I showed Andy, and I was like, check this out. Check out what comics could be, how amazing they are to tell stories. And he got it. And, he was on board to start adapting our pilot script into a comic. And honestly, it just fit right in. It just slotted right in, and it flowed really well. The art team we have on is like Ari De Candido and Ariel Ayasi. They're just doing like just the best work, because they see it so clearly. They see when to make the expressions big and bold and stretch the characters, and they get the cartoon vibe of it. Like it feels like it's animated. And he got it, and he was on board to start adapting our pilot script into a comic. And honestly, it just fit right in. It just slotted right in, and it flowed really well. The art team we have on is like Ari De Candido and Ariel Ayasi. They're just doing like just the best work, because they see it so clearly. They see when to make the expressions big and bold and stretch the characters, and they get the cartoon vibe of it. Like it feels like it's animated and dynamic. So I think, I love it. It's definitely not rated R gory, horror, but it's super fun. I mean, it definitely has like that nostalgia factor, where it feels like it's something familiar, but it also is completely brand new with like really, really fun characters. It's also cool to write like comedy. So Popscars was so heavy, so dark.
Right.
And with this, we got to tell jokes from really fun, different personalities. The dinosaurs all have like really different characters. So to find each of their voices was really cool. And just kind of having them play off each other is like super fun. They just like write themselves. Super easy to like just like find their lines and their kind of banter,
So, okay, can I ask, is this set up like TMNT, where they are for what, and don't reveal the origin, but like, are they in our world, or a version of our world, or is their world populated by all kinds of other anthropomorphic species?
There are other dinosaurs roaming around a little bit, and I think there are, this first version of the story, we kind of just get a little bit of their rogues gallery. I think if this story did continue, which I think it could, there's a lot of different fun ways to take this. We eventually would see it as like a bad guy of the week, where you would bring in a lot of different creatures and monsters for them to battle. And I think what would be really cool about this story is, we could see what they're doing in the present, trying to be heroes again, trying to get back into shape, trying to quit drinking alcohol and, get on the diet. But you could also go back to them in their prime, when they were the heroes that everyone loved and, celebrated and sang songs about. And you could, kind of do like the golden age version. And we touch on that a little bit, but I think like really diving into it when they were like celebrities, I think that's super fun compared to like the like haggard versions that they are now,
I love that. That kind of gives me a vibe. Hearing you say that, kind of the offset the TMNT, which is definitely I got that right away from the Kickstarter trailer, but I definitely feel like the 10 years has passed after they messed up. That reminds me right away of my favorite Christopher Nolan Batman movie, which the reason why I love Dark Knight Rises is because Batman left for 7 years. And the reason why everybody I know that hates that movie, which is most people I know that like Batman, are like, Batman wouldn't quit. But I love the idea. But yeah, but what if this hero did and then has to come back? Like, so that, I don't know, that really excites me hearing you say that, because I didn't even know that was baked into this, and that makes it even, the stakes are higher, right?
Yeah.
Like,
they're not spring chickens. They don't have the parkour moves they used to. They're like me. They have like a bad back, and I can't do a cartwheel anymore. But I like that they try. I like that they try to see, if they can still do it. And, I think that's important, even as like creators, keep trying, keep making stuff. To me, I never really thought too much about the Dark Knight Rises connection kind of thing. You're right, though. It does have that, like, retired superhero gets back into crime fighting. That one had such a great, like, mood and darkness to it. I think this one, the mood is, it really does play like a long lost 90s cartoon. It's not heavy at all.
yeah, it's not brooding like that, but like the Nolan movie. But yeah.
No, yeah. It definitely, we borrow some of that kind of like those story elements for sure. I just think the tone of it is super, like, super cartoony, and kind of we just want it to be a fun read, like a fun time reading a comic, a fun time hanging out with these characters. Because I think with Popscars, I tried to push it so hard into a different direction, so hard to make this like heavy revenge, gory, like brutal trauma, and like, so it's great to be like total opposite of the spectrum, and just exploring what comics can do, what you can do with comics and the characters. And
I think that's all. So for the audience, is this something like, what's the age? Like, can a 5-year-old read this, like, content wise and like reading level wise? Well, maybe not 5-year-old, but like an 8-year-old.
I think it's like 10 to 40.
10,000.
I bet that's I think there's no curse words. It's not like F this, F that. It's we tried to let them be funny without relying on that stuff. Cool. There's a little bit of gore. There's a little bit of fun cartoon gore, I would say.
Yeah, there you go. That's fine.
But I think that's probably the most thing we push, is like there's like a little bit of like over the top ridiculous violence. But that's good. You need that,
Well, cartoons. So that's,
I think modern Rick and Morty kind of influenced us a bit, where cool. They took something like Back to the Future, and they totally did their adult comedy spin on it, and I think we were definitely inspired by that, the ability to kind of play into something people know, but then give it a little twist,
Nice. Well, all right, I'll put the link to the Kickstarter in the show notes, and then
thanks, man.
Yeah, of course, and I'll people can watch the trailer, and just all I got to say is it looks great, and I hope more people back it, because I think people will dig it, especially coming from that cartoon. That I love when you said, like, kind of that 90s cartoon, Saturday morning cartoon vibe. That's like, that was the final piece I needed to understand what you were doing. I was like, oh yeah, definitely. So, and TMNT
it'll fit
fans,
right in with that. In with like Street Sharks and like Transformers and like all that stuff that you used to love, that somehow just got lost.
Okay, so Jurassic Parkour 4, link in the show notes. Go and support. Hi, I'm Sean. Join me and my friends every week for the Horror Vision, where we talk about horror movies.